3-7. Some of the fans in Michigan have made fun of the run and shoot. In fact, the Detroit News asked them to call in with a new nickname. Well, nothing funny about this for the Broncos. They are really shooting them down. First and goal at the 8th. We start the second quarter. Dick Enberg and Bill Walsh, pleased you've joined us for part of this Thanksgiving tradition. Barry Sanders. Ooh, cut down at the 7 just as he saw open field to the right. Michael Brooks saved a touchdown along with Mecklenburg.
Sanders has a gift. Peripherally, he can see things. He's got the surface to work on, and with his strength and quickness, they're taking apart this 3-man line that Denver's trying to play. It's really a mismatch at this point. You need a lot of time to prepare for this offense. Denver hasn't really had any. Plus that, playing at home, and really a hungry Detroit team and a let-down Denver team, both with the same records.
Gagliano trying to make it 4 touchdowns in 4 possessions. Second and goal. Incomplete. And he had a man open and overshot Robert Clark. Clark from North Carolina Central leads the Lions receivers with 6 touchdowns.
He's one of their bigger receivers, 5'11". There's a big guy on that group. A simple slant pattern to the inside of Henderson. See, it's there. It's thrown too far out in front, too high, and really a little too hard. So that's all on Gagliano. They had the defense they wanted. They had the pattern they wanted.
Gagliano sees a lot of Denver substitutions on 3rd and goal from the 7.
Denver going with their 7 defensive back front, try to shut off the pass.
Johnson easing his way into the right slot. Give to Sanders. Sanders breaks some tackles, but Denver shuts the door at the 5.
On the run, Barry Sanders.
You saw that graphic earlier that despite the criticism of the Lions scoring, when they've been in the red zone inside the opponent's 20-yard line, they have scored 90% of the times this year, so they have produced.
They really have, and that's one of the original criticisms of this style of offense. No tight end, only 1 running back. But they put together a system that's pretty darned effective down close. Now, if you change the conditions, you get a sloppy, muddy field or a windy game, I'm not sure they'd get that done.
Eddie Murray's 24-yard field goal makes it 24-7. It all began in 1934 when the then Portsmouth NFL team moved to Detroit, and in the Midwest, Thanksgiving football, long a college and high school tradition. Usually the rivalries waited and met on this Thanksgiving Day, so the NFL tried it, and here we are on the 51st renewal. The kick goes just out of bounds, and Denver gets a break there. Had that one kicked in the end zone, it would have been a 15-yard difference. Instead, the Broncos will start at the 35-yard line. Murray just offline.
Dick, they need that 35-yard line, believe me. The other kickoff, the second 2 they received, there have been so many, they didn't get anything out of them. So the 35 will help Elway. You know, John has become such a person in Denver, and I'm trying to think of the word. He just dominated the Denver athletic scene, that his life's under such scrutiny, everything he does. The team loses, it reflects on John. No matter what happens, it all reflects on John. Sometimes you wonder how long a guy can play in a given city.
Underneath to Bratton, and the big fullback barrels close to 9 yards. So what are you saying that John Elway may not finish his career in Denver?
Oh, I think he will, most likely, but I honestly think it would be a breath of fresh air for John and some Denver fans, certainly some Denver riders, if he had a chance to finish out his career somewhere else. I really feel that way. It would take a lot of pressure off John. You can believe how ecstatic people would be to have him in another franchise. I think he'd be reborn.
Robbie Humphrey, young man from Alabama, has a first down to the 47-yard line. Dennis Gibson, Iowa State, in his 4th season at linebacker, made the tackle. Well, Rich Carlos, who was a teammate of Elway, and of course under Dan Reeves for many years in Denver, still makes his home there, loves Mile High City, and said he's never been in more agony than watching his Broncos, his former teammates, lose in the Super Bowl last year to San Francisco. We were talking to him about the relationship with Dan Reeves, and he said, frankly, the players were intimidated by Dan. They were many of them afraid of him. And they said, you'd go in to see him. He said, my door's open. But when he said I'd sit down, and he'd be looking at the screen watching video above my head while we talked.
Well, as teams become frustrated and have difficulty and in a sense fail, then naturally personalities start being involved. When we were watching practice yesterday, one of the sportscasters from Denver was standing next to me, and he went through a litany of what was wrong with Dan Reeves, I guess hoping I'd respond. Everything from he's cold and indifferent to humorless, humorless.
Not a coach's...
not a player's coach, not a motivator. Well, if he's none of those things, how could they have won so many games?
3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Bratton, again, they go under the coverage, and he's close to a first down. You know, I thought it was interesting that whole idea of being a player's coach, and you hear that phrase, and I liked your response. You basically said, you show me a player's coach, and how many of those have won championships? You got to be tough. You can't always say yes to the players.
As you develop your team, you naturally you're closer to players, because a lot of them aren't as good, and they need every bit of support you can give. But over a period of years, a coach has to get his job done, and one of the lesser priorities is to be very, very popular and engaging and comfortable to be around. And you see your most successful coaches throughout their careers, their great successful years, they've been taskmasters. They've been even-handed. They've been tough taskmasters who had the players' best interest at heart, but didn't worry about the socializing aspect of it. This is a great guy.
And an outstanding coach.
Yeah, and personally, he has all the attributes I can see in the greatness of a football coach.
First down, as you saw in the measurement. Elway going deep for Jackson. Jackson had gone in, and Jackson found the ball going out. Crockett on the coverage. He's a second-year man from Baylor. 4th-round pick a year ago.
Well, that ball was thrown way too early, and Elway really didn't know where Jackson was going. You see, now this ball is going to be thrown up over the top. Jackson takes an inside release on the defender, and Elway sees it most likely as an outside release, and Elway is not handling that rush very well right there. He took his eye off the receiver and saw the rushers. John's not at his best right this minute.
That had a good year, 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions prior to today. In the backfield to give the 35, Blake Ezor, who played here in Michigan at Michigan State. Not much there. Michael Kofer, big hands Kofer, made the tackle.
What a man. Now, the last 55 I saw for Detroit was Wayne Walker. I'm sure Wayne was just as tough as Kofer. But looking at the two men, I'm not sure that Wayne's vintage could have held up in a game like this. Well, look at that hand.
And this is Leroy Irvin has more than an average size hand. And I did the same thing. I couldn't even come up to Kofer's middle knuckle. He says he can't buy gloves unless he goes to the baseball mitt department in the sporting goods store. Elway all time, and he finds his tight end, Shannon Sharp, out of bounds at the 10-yard line. Sharp, a rookie from Savannah State. He's the younger brother of the Green Bay Packers star wide receiver Sterling Sharp.
Vintage John Elway. Trap, reverses out. He goes to his left better than any quarterback I've ever seen. And what vision down the field to find that.
And a flag is down in the secondary of the Lions.
Pass interference. Defense number 42. Penalty is declined. First down.
Well, with all that time, somebody had to be holding on. Number 42, Chris Oldham.
Well, you see a break by Sharp across the field, and the ball should have been thrown seconds before that. But Elway finally moves and spots him. This is why, in a sense, John Elway has done so many things for this team spontaneously, outside of the structure of the offense.
Elway underneath, almost intercepted on the deflection as he went to Bratton again. So the Lion defense in that zone, releasing off the ball, and then Elway trying to catch him underneath the Bratton.
Just thrown too hard. It's that simple. That's one of the criticisms of John, is his touch passes down in close. And I know that the Denver staff wanted to go to more of a 49er style this year, especially after that Super Bowl. But John isn't necessarily equipped to do that as well as Joe Montana. Joe's pass is very easy and catchable in short.
Natil. A tough 3-yard pass play. Smothered as Crockett again right there to make the hit.
Ball was thrown too late. By the time Natil got it, the entire secondary or all the linebackers from Detroit were moving to it. See, now this ball should be thrown right now. And they're still waiting. Then it's thrown. Now, by that time, everybody's responding to it. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys.
Third down at the 7-yard line. Vance Johnson, who had to leave the game last week with a bad foot, has a sprained calf. And he's on the sidelines for Denver. 3rd and 6 from the 7. Incomplete. Intended for Natil. So the Broncos, hoping to cut into that sizable Lion lead, will have to take a little bite as once again they get inside the 10-yard line and have to come away with 3 instead of a 7.
Well, they've lost some of their offensive line personnel. Gerald Perry obviously not here today for specific reasons, but they've given up on their running game in close. And their passes are not well enough timed in close to get the ball there quickly enough.
24-yard field goal by Treadwell. 8:41 remaining in the first half. Lions 24, Broncos 10. Well, we want to alert all the mothers who are kind enough to work dinner around halftime. You've got 8 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock before the intermission. That's so true in many families around the country. It was in mine, and then a lot of the players mentioned that to us yesterday here at Lions and Broncos. 24-10. Down it comes to Mel Gray. Defiant return by Gray to the 36-yard line before Shannon Sharp made the tackle. Tonight, after our Thanksgiving feast, don't miss a night of colossal comedy and powerful drama. The Cosby Show, A Different World, Cheers, Grand, and L.A. Law. That's all tonight, only on NBC. Well, I'd kind of like to spend a Thanksgiving with...
On the return, number 52, penalized half the distance. First down.
I was going to say with Bill Cosby, but I'll take Dick Hantack since he's going to interrupt anyway.
Can you believe Mel Gray has been called back? But Mel Gray going up through those people at 165 pounds, a full speed sprint right into all that action, the courage and nerve it takes. And these guys condition themselves. Now watch him straight down the middle, all that action coming right at him from all angles, and it's just a full speed sprint.
Slow motion, don't get quite the appreciation of how quickly Gray was firing through there, but it's denied on the penalty, and the Lions leading by 2 touchdowns start from deep in their own end. Barry Sanders, Dennis Smith gets to him, sets him up for the tackle made by Casey Clark.
Now that hand to the face mask has got to create some kind of a infraction. It has to.
I think it was one of those double penalty.
Must have been, because when you have that guy by that face mask, in this case, well, both guys.
Yeah, they both had a shot at it. A couple of Rams out in the meadow locking horns. Second down, Gagliano. Lots of time. Going to be intercepted. Wymon Henderson at the 40. 30. 20. Wymon Henderson for a touchdown. For Henderson with his first interception of the year.
Gagliano simply took too much time. Now when he finally throws, the defenders are able to look back and find him and find the ball. Really, the ball was underthrown, and you'd have to take that all the way back to Gagliano and the throw itself. that reckless type of thing, but it's a high-risk offense, Dick, and these kinds of things happen far more often in a run-and-shoot style with 4 wide receivers than your typical 49er or Giant style.
Treadwell with the extra point to make it 24-17, and the Broncos are right back in it.
Bob Gagliano. He did get hit, didn't he? And this is typical of this. Oh, gee, what a shot by Galloway.
For UNLV Rebel Wymon Henderson. In fact, he was a free agent picked by you, Bill, wasn't he?
Former 49er. He made our team, played reasonably well, but of course we had great talent in those years. There's Bob Gagliano with his people around him, and Rodney Peete on the far left. The problem with this particular offense is they go through quarterbacks.
Tough one to handle, but here comes Gray. And they catch him from behind. Looked like somebody tripped him up when maybe his own blocker just across the 10-yard line. Let's go back to the interception.
Well, we can see the interception. What you're going to see is a flat and up pattern here. And it looks like Gagliano pumps the ball, then retreats again and tries to hit it. And the ball is overthrown, and Henderson's just in the area. There's the pump. Now he backs up, and you look down the field, and Jeff Campbell's running up the field. The ball is totally overthrown, and there's Wymon Henderson, who is heads up enough to make the stop. But this is typical of this offense, as well as great big gains. You excite people offensively and defensively, and there's Wade, and finally getting something to cheer about.
24-17, Gagliano, okay, he's back at quarterback from his 10-yard line. Short yardage to Terry Greer. Was a plan B picked by the Lions from the 49ers.
Another 49er, and Terry played well for us on Super Bowl teams. Terry's an older guy now. He's 32 years of age. Played in Canada, played with us, came out of Canada playing for the 49ers. Excellent speed down the field. Wise, mature, a good guy for the ball club, but right at the end of his career.
He's the only Detroit receiver over 6 feet tall. Can't a tall guy play in this offense?
Oh, I think so, but he's going to have to be quick and agile as well. Jerry Rice or John Taylor would have no trouble with this. There's that trap.
Sanders got away from 2 men, but then support from Michael Brooks and company.
Well, Mecklenburg's been trapped all day right here across the formation, and again Sanders almost makes the trap work. But Mecklenburg, coming up to stop the quarterback, gets tagged right there. Excellent job by Ken Dallafor, and it comes close. Just a missed block downfield on Brooks, or the difference would have been 30 or 40 yards.
Enough for the first down, just across the 20. Aubrey Matthews, he has his first catch. He's all the way to the 46-yard line. Matthews from Delta State.
Matthews was completely unaccounted for in the coverage. And again, making an explanation for Denver. They had no chance to look at the tapes and spend time with this. They're in a zone defense. People are backing up while Matthews comes right across the field in front of them. And then that quickness that Mouse Davis likes so much in these receivers is showing up on this surface in particular.
95 yards on the play.
Option.
Barry Sanders gets rid of Dennis Smith, but then Steve Atwater comes up to really slam him down. Atwater, who is in his second year from Arkansas and came into this Denver camp last year and immediately made a hit in a lot of ways. He's got a great personality. He's as Dan Reeves said, you know, he interviewed him before they even drafted him. Many other players, and Atwater just stood out as a potential leader.
We had him with the 49ers interviewing and taking a physical with us. Same impression. This guy is sharp. He's intense. He's dedicated. All those things you're looking for in a football player. But do those guys have their work cut out for them? Atwater and Smith chasing Sanders, who's so much quicker than they are.
6 yards on the last play. A little quick pop. That'll be another first down. Robert Clark inside the Denver 40, and a flag goes down. Might have been a face mask.
Henderson.
You have to give Mouse Davis and June Jones a lot of
face
credit.
mask on the defense, number 22. It is an additional 5 yards. First down.
You have to give those offensive coordinators a lot of credit because their Detroit game plan is so good. Now here's a matter of looking at a face mask, but the game plan is so good, and they're picking their spots against this Denver offense. They do an excellent job of coaching this offense. Every skill's refined. It's drilled very, very well. But it's had its problems. There's Mouse. Sat and visited with him yesterday, and it makes a lot of sense. His style.
Not totally convinced that Wayne Fonts is going to stay with it as it is through another year. Deflected and incomplete. Michael Brooks might have gotten his hand on it. Robert Clark was the intended receiver. Fans are booing Gagliano, but it wasn't a bad pass. That ball was deflected, but so short out of the hand of Gagliano, it looked as if he just made a bad pass.
The problem with this style of offense is a high-risk way of moving the ball, and you can't really take time off the clock. Now you'll see a batted pass, I believe, here. Frustrated, but you can't really take time off the clock in the later stages of a game because the opponent can force you to pass. You don't have enough blockers to really run effectively.
Run out the clock. Every time you pass and you don't catch it, then you stop the clock for the team trying to catch it. Sanders, another draw. Whoa, what a hit made by Kip Corrington to stop Sanders, but another first down.
Kip Corrington, now here is a special person. 1987 GTE All-American Academic of the Year. Academic All-American of the Year. He got 1B in 4 years at Texas A&M. And I can say the same thing. I got 1B.
But no A's.
No A's I can recall.
Well, he gets an A on the hit, but so does Sanders for the gain and a first down at the 21. 3:23 left in a high-powered first half, all offense, and the Lions trying to add to a big score, 24-17. Richard Johnson on first down, short gain, about 5. Elton Montgomery, the rookie corner, makes the stop. You mean you weren't a good student at San Jose State?
San Jose State, the think tank of the Santa Clara Valley. That's where the Silicon Valley started, right there in those little classrooms.
I know you were taking biochemistry and botany and kinesiology and a lot of those tougher
By the way,
classes.
San Jose State is playing
Central Michigan
in a bowl game.
California Bowl.
And we talk to people, they say, oh, a bowl game in Mexico.
Our two alma maters. Gagliano overshoots Robert Clark, who was double teamed. Had he thrown that one to Clark, sitting right there was Henderson looking for another interception.
Well, they're just picking their spots down the field, hoping they'll get individual single coverage. But in this case, there's an excellent job of recovering by both people, but Corrington is backing up deep. So in that case, the receiver was bracketed. One of the few times they've got it done today.
3rd and 5, Bill. Its drive started on the 10-yard line. Again, it's not a Moser, it's almost a mosey for Richard Johnson. Sanders. Looks out the other way. He gets a block. What an effort, short of the first down as Clark spins him out of bounds. But that, for a 3-yard gain, is almost a standing ovation play. Barry Sanders.
I don't think anybody in football can do that. This surface helps because he gets excellent traction, but he's so strong and so tough to get a hold of. I don't think Denver's seen anybody like him ever.
Strong a character, too. You hear all the people from the press department to the secretaries, the coaches saying, you know, the success has not affected him one lick. Terrific young guy.
Well, a lot of controversy in town with the Lions losing more games than they should. But the problem is he hasn't griped at all about how many times he carries the ball.
2-minute timeout. Silverdome. Well over 70,000 here to see 2 3-7 teams who have put on a lot of offensive pyrotechnics. 24-17, and the Lions are set up for a 34 Make that a 32-yard field goal. Eddie Murray, number 3, grew up in England where he was a bowler. Cricket was his game. Now he's using the other end of his anatomy as he goes for his second field goal in this first half. And hits it dead center. 1:55 left for Denver in this scoring race, trailing by 10. Number 6 all-time in rushing in his career in Detroit, playing there with a broken nose apparently, and cheering today for his free agent son Mike, who is a wide receiver with the Lions. It's quite a family. Miller Farr, the brother of Mel Sr., played with the Broncos back in the old AFL. There's Mike, the son. He said, I can't remember Thanksgiving not being at a Lions game or watching one. 27-17. Here comes Blake Ezor, the ex-Spartan, to the 25-yard line. 1:49 left for Elway. Mike Farr celebrates this Thanksgiving 1990.
I would like to wish everyone around the world a very happy Thanksgiving. And to me, this Thanksgiving game is very special in my heart, since I watched many of the games down at Tiger Stadium watching my father play, and now I'm part of this Thanksgiving tradition.
Well, that is a family connection.
You know, his dad's so darn successful here in town too, with his automobile dealerships. And
number 1 in the nation, black auto dealerships.
Right?
Yeah, he's got 3 different ones, and now Mel Jr., who tried out with Denver and the Rams, is now running the used car department. Elway to Bratton to the 32. Chris Spielman made the hit. And the Broncos no huddle.
they need points in this half. They really need at least 3 more to just stay close with this explosive offense they're seeing.
Trailing by 10, 27-17 Detroit. Bobby Humphrey on a little swing has a first down at the 36-yard line. Dennis Gibson makes the tackle, and Dan Reeves will spend a timeout.
Dan Reeves and John Elway are exaggerated, I'm sure, but in adversity they're sort of bonded together, and I think this could revitalize this team, not so much for this year but in the future. They'll understand each other better, and they live through adversity. It's sort of a bonding factor. I know our 49er team in 1979 and 80 developed this character when we were losing, so this may be in the best interest in the long run for the Broncos.
That's an interesting insight. Open was Mark Jackson, just off his fingertips at the Lion 48. Told you that Jackson grew up in Chicago. As you look at Benny Blades, part of the Blades family, playing on the hard asphalt in his project area. Little guy, walk on to Purdue, plays with Jim Everett. Everett's his quarterback. Not bad. Then he goes to Denver, and he got John Elway as the man throwing you those bullets.
Well, there's a certain amount of good fortune in making these teams. You have to be there just at the right time, and Mark got his opportunity at Denver. He may not have gotten it anywhere else.
Elway brought down. Jerry Ball, the nose tackle. And he is a big ball, 298.
I'll bet he's a little more than 298. But what a load. He would like to be compared to Michael Carter, the 49ers. Both went to the same school, play the same style of football, but he came in a little overweight this year, and it hurt him.
Timeout. 27-17, and now Elway deep in a hole at 3rd and 24 with a minute left in the first half. Out of the shotgun. Needs something big. One hops it. Was that a lateral pass? Must have been. Nope, they're going to whistle it dead. Incomplete. Back at the 14-yard line. If that was a forward pass, it's incomplete. And Mark Jackson argues, no, it was a lateral pass. Very, very close, and they'll probably review it.
Elway and his team are just out of sync in their passing game. The play was set up, and he basically bounced the ball to Jackson.
On the field, the play has been ruled incomplete pass. 4th down.
Elway's going to come to the outside, get the blocking he wants. It's a planned play. Looking down the field. Now he looks back.
He throws from the 13-yard line, and it looks like that was a forward pass.
Forward pass that bounced over there.
Good call.
But now Mel Gray gets a shot, and he's going to catch the ball with plenty of running room.
Mike Horan averaging 43.4 on the year, but you saw his only kick in this first half. We're not going to see a lot of the punters apparently today. It was a short punt. And Gray.
It's pretty evident the ball doesn't get there.
He had thrown from the 13.
I'm sure the defensive coaches from Denver are putting their heads together right now to put a plan in operation and play for the second half. If they don't, the score could be way up into the 50s.
The music of Jeopardy, the theme, while the instant review people look it over again. It seemed fairly apparent that Elway had thrown the ball from around the 13, Jackson from the 14. The ball was not on was incomplete. The ball did bounce to Jackson.
Well, if the ball bounced, Dick, wouldn't you blow the whistle? And if the whistle blew, the play...
He did. You could see him waving and blowing the whistle.
I guess they're just saying whether he caught it or not at that point, because the run was the difference.
To Kantak, you can see his pleasure with the whole process. If you're behind the line of scrimmage, a lot of people are confused about the rule. If you're behind the line of scrimmage and you throw the ball only 1 yard forward, not to the line of scrimmage, but just forward, that is the same as any other forward pass.
Right.
And they were playing for a lateral pass, a long pass that would have been to the receiver behind the quarterback. If that's behind the line of scrimmage, then that man, Jackson, could have done anything with it. He could have thrown the ball, he could have run it, whatever. I think the 2 minutes are up in the instant review booth.
It's not a factor anyway, because if the whistle blew, the ball was dead one way or the other.
You know what? You're getting so good at this. You know, you ever think about applying? I mean, that'd be maybe we could go as a team.
I don't think I'd get the automatic rubber stamp approval.
I know how long I'd last there.
They do a great job.
The officials on the field do a good job. They do a good job. Let them run the game.
Please return the game clock to 54 seconds.
Oh, all of that was for 3 seconds? Well, that might matter.
Game clock to 54 seconds.
So,
well, one way or the other, Detroit's got another shot at it. The way they've been moving the ball and the potential of this punt return.
After further review, the play stands as called on the field. Incomplete pass, 4th down.
Good. I guess.
Horan now to punt. Gray back at the 32. Beautiful kick. Gray will have trouble returning that. He's going to have to fair catch it, and just did do that. Catch it. It'll be the Lions with a 10-point lead now as they start from their 34.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by AT&T, the right choice.
44 yards, no return. That was a dandy by Horan.
That saved the day in a sense, because any kind of a return there, you combine that with this offense and you'd have seen 3 more points put up.
We talk about the little wide receivers, many of whom would be out of football if not for the run and shoot. But how about Gagliano himself? This has been a resurrection of his quarterback talents, this offense. Sanders. Oh, what a move. Brilliant play by Barry Sanders.
The stop and start factor. He stops and starts, and people just run right past him.
22 dazzling yards.
Stop, start. Look at that miss. And people are treating him like a normal human being. They're thinking they're going to routinely tackle him, and they don't even touch him.
112 yards in the first half for Barry Sanders, who could have won the NFL rushing title last year. In the final game at Atlanta, they knew that he needed just 10 more yards to tie Christian Okoye of Kansas City. He said, "Don't put me back in for that. I don't want to go back in. Let somebody else play.
Well, he somehow retained the humility and sensitivity to other people that often the contemporary athlete sort of loses track of.
And look at that, Bill. He had 90 less rushes than McCoy last year and finished within 10 of the title. From the 44 of Denver, 35 seconds. 2 timeouts left for Gagliano and a lot of time to throw. Finally gets out of bounds at the 41, a gain of 3. Even on a play like that, they make yardage.
He had all the time he needed. I don't want to compare him with Joe Montana because that wouldn't be fair to Bob. Bob did play on the same team with Joe and they're good friends, but he should have decided to finally go ahead and run with the football, get everything he could, and go to the ground or go out of bounds, but be more decisive.
Coming up at halftime here on NBC's Thanksgiving celebration, we'll go back to New York for Bob Costas and Will McDonough. Their thoughts on the first half. The juice in Saudi Arabia. He's bringing a lot of smiles to our men and women there. So stay with us at halftime. Boy, just the replays of the scoring in this first half will keep them busy. Second down. A little shovel pass to Sanders, and he's tripped up. Down underneath the pile was number 90, veteran Ron Holmes. He's been griping as well about not playing as much. They don't use one of their timeouts for whatever reason, and they have 1 left. They're down to 1, so they call the time here, but they wasted a good 10 seconds before spending it.
Detroit, their third.
Well, Gagliano wasn't with the game that time. Sometimes when you coach a quarterback in such detail, he loses track of the game itself. He gets too mechanical, and at that point, Bob wasn't thinking a play ahead. He was thinking, what's the next call coming in? So he became sort of a robot out there, and it could have cost them. They'll get 1 more play. But Bob played for us during the strike year.
Right.
Played very, very well. In fact, Terry Greer was one of his receivers, and he remained with the team.
Ventura, California, studying fire safety. Said he's always thought he'd like to be a fireman since he was a kid and looking ahead to his future. He reminds me a lot of Steve DeBerg. He's a veteran, 32 years old, now 33. He's just so happy that he's still around this game.
Just easygoing, sort of a non-plus kind of a guy, but tough.
Probably the last play of the first half. Lions out of field goal range. To the sidelines to Clark, and he dropped the ball, but the half was over anyway. That would have gotten them within a long field goal try. So at the half, Wayne Fonts, Dan Reeves in a shootout, and it's the Lions by 10 as we go to New York and Bob Costas.